Everybody, this is Rydo, and we're back with another recording of Hearthstone. Today is Monday, May 14th. Started really late, overslept basically because of insomnia. Well, on the European account, I need to play 30 Shaman cards and then win 4 more games in any mode. So, barring anybody on the European account wanting to play me, I'm just going to play a little bit of ranked and see if I can get a little bit higher. I suppose we are nearly exactly halfway through the month. So if I could get to a ranked 20, that would be nice. I don't want to fall all the way back down to the bottom, but also I kind of don't care too much either, particularly on the European and Asian accounts. The one thing I think Hearthstone did do right was make it where you only needed 5 ranked wins to get the card back, and no longer is it a struggle to get to rank 20. But the idea that was going to make more players be satisfied with being at sub rank 20 is kind of unrealistic. There's still a lot of people trying very hard to get things done. Hey, my Hearthstone tick tracker, assuming you're seeing it at all, because I changed the dots per inch, is also a lot smaller. So that'll be that way, hopefully not for very much longer. If I can power through and finish the Lego The Force Awakens, I'll get my resolution back to the way it looks and my screen back looking as good as possible. We have a game on Steam called Witchit, W-I-T-C-H space I-T. Witchit is a multiplayer hide-and-seek game in a humorous magical world. Brave hunters are tasked with finding the witches that curse their villages. It's rated very positive, 83% out of 173 users. This came out May 31st. It's early access. Now, I've seen a considerable amount of Minecraft mods where it's hide and seek equivalents, and they're alright for a short time, but I never really figured that you could have a whole game around the concept. I don't particularly recall playing hide and seek in kindergarten or in elementary school every single day, and if you're going to make a video game equivalent of that, I would think you would want to play several games a day. Now for me, it's multiplayer only, so I don't care about it. It has 70 achievements, which I think maybe, very possibly, are just achievements for the number of games you win. It's $14.99. It's got several awards from something. Let's look at the negative reviews, which are at 10%, so I can't give it too. Can't give too much real credibility to the 10% of players that aren't happy with it compared to the significantly higher number of people that are okay with it. Here's a not recommended early access review. It's pretty fun, and ultimately gets really boring quite fast. That said, the game is exactly what you see up there. Found no bugs or issues with it. If you just want to laugh and spend an hour in a relaxing player versus player game, this is about the same. That is all about the same. Jokes over and over again, then go for it. Otherwise, stay away, especially if you're like me. I look for games that have some good depth in most aspects, and this has none of it. I could never see myself playing it for more than an hour, which is already too much. Is hoping it will turn into a better game than a short meme until then. Cool game, no player base is the next not recommended review. So yeah, I heavily suspect that this might be a game that would work really well for streamers, but I don't, may not work that well for anybody else. I also kind of have to, when you think about it, wonder about the possibility of this being a let's see. That's what I thought was gonna happen. The possibility of this game being like a kid-friendly Splatoon-esque game would be interesting. It's from a developer called Barrel Roll Games, and this is the first game they've made, but it's from the publisher of Daedalic, which Daedalic is known for doing the Deponia games, point-click adventures, Silence, Ed and what is it? Ed and Harvey, Edna and Harvey, Shadow Tactics, Blade of the Shogun, Crazy Machines 3. So there's definitely polish here if you want a MMO based game. The witches, like in the Minecraft versions that I've seen of games like this, are let's see what I want to do. This and this. I'm gonna attack here and see if this is another explosive trap. Yes, it is. I'm gonna play some Murlocs. And then freeze the character. So the witches transform into items, and then they're hopping around. Honestly, it's more fast-paced and a smarter implementation of the Minecraft version of this. The seekers, the heroes, seem to have the ability to hook shot onto the roof and jump rather high, where the witches also can jump really high and move fast. And it seems like the seekers also have kind of a gun light or something they're throwing or something, so it may still be slightly too violent for some parents. Let's just go ahead and play as many shining cards as possible. I would say consider Witch-It if you really love hide and seek. If you're a Twitch streamer or a YouTube streamer and you're gonna get money from it and get back your kind of high price of $15, that seems like really high. But I'd also be very careful. The fact that there's no single player, no AI, is problematic. Certainly. Let's see. Next game we have on Steam is called Gardener the Ripper. It's a MS Paint all green, 90% green game. It looks awful. It's 40% off for 59 cents. One not recommended review. Let's see. This game plays like the first half of a Game Maker tutorial game. That is to say, there's no control information, no score, no feedback on losing, other than resetting the start location, etc. I'm not even sure there's a way to quit the game other than Alt F4. But they do have the movement, hit detection, and firing control button in, so at least there's that. I hadn't considered Game Maker as maybe a source for some of these fake games. And this is from that same developer, publisher, Exploding Steam. Let's move on. Eurogamer has an article, Sony dates and details this year's PlayStation E3 showcase. They said that they're going to mostly focus on exclusives. So, let's see, it will be Monday, June 11th, 6 p.m. Pacific time, which there's really no reason, I think, there's really no reason why I shouldn't be able to stream that, assuming I just don't oversleep. And so, the Sony PlayStation 3 showcase, I think, is going to be the beginning of the major E3 streams, and it'll just kind of go from there. And so that'll be the beginning of one very long day in which I cover the PlayStation, Bethesda, Microsoft, and who else is there? There might be a Square Enix, there might be an EA thing, there could be a considerable number of them that we're going to stream. I really don't have too much of an intention of showing Hearthstone this time and switching around, so I think we're just going to straight up focus on the E3. I may make notes, I may just talk, I may very well be playing Hearthstone on my second screen but not showing it. That is a possibility too. Although I'm not sure I'd even particularly bother to play Hearthstone if nobody's watching. But I think, yeah, it's going to be much more focused around that. Around just paying attention to the comments. Gametsu has an article, Gunvolt Chronicles, Luminous Avenger 9, I guess, it has been announced for Switch, the next game in the Azure Striker Gunvolt series. Let's see, but it doesn't have a release date. So more Japanese companies are embracing the Switch, which I would probably make the argument that there was a good percentage, maybe 10 to 20% of Japanese video game developers who simply were not greenlighting or working on games until there was a Nintendo console to sell them on. For one reason or other, they weren't willing to go on the Vita, or they weren't willing to go on the PlayStation. And of course the Japanese companies are not, definitely almost 100% not willing to go on the Xbox exclusively, because they just not see any sales in their own company, in their own country, and that's not acceptable in their minds. But to be fair, I don't think there's very many video game developers in the United States that would make a game that would sell, it was designed to only be sold in Japan either. I think being a little bit location based and location centric in your design is just a natural human way of thinking. It's an elemental, add an elemental to your hand. Alright. And freeze. Attack. Attack. I just watched the trailer for this Gunvolt game. It is a platformer with also some kind of crazy guns that you have. Very odd targeting and ability to deal damage. looks like it might very well play rather differently than a standard game. A standard platformer or like Mega Man game. It feels like if you were taking Mega Man to a completely different, more extreme direction. Alright, what do we want to do? Let's kill this. Do this. Do this. And play this. And I can't play any more cards. I could, but it would probably be a waste here. We'll do that just to play the card. I'm not sure if I'm making progress or not through these games. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. There's a game on Steam that's only in simplified Chinese, and we're seeing more and more of that, and fair enough. It's a bunch of Chinese characters, and then it's called Summer Rain. And it's not good by any standard, and that is pretty much the way of all Chinese games or Chinese only games. But it does seem like it's trying to be something. If they had polished the graphics a little bit more, you're playing as, I wouldn't say a samurai, the Chinese equivalent, I guess, of a samurai, whatever that would be, a sword wielding, I assume Chinese person going through a platformer, talking to people, and doing, I think, some very basic RPG elements. I kind of like the art style. Like, it feels like this would be a art style you might see on an ancient Chinese illustration. I don't see in the trailer though any actual actions. I just see the main character walking forward and backwards at a very slow pace, very unsmooth frame rate, and then he walks to this eagle, and the eagle's crying at them, screaming at him, and then it is just turn-based RPG. So, progress, I suppose. At least it's not a terrible game, and I kind of like the art style, but it's still not good enough. It has like 4 positive in Chinese reviews, and no negative ones. But of course I am talking about a game that also is the first game from the developer. It's $5.94, and it's Chinese only. Like, I'd like to see this company maybe come out with an English version of their next game. If they do a really good job on their next game, that is. But also that's a waste of time talking about Chinese only games, so let's move on. Instead, let's move over to a Japanese game called Monmushu. M-O-N-M-U-S-U. And it's in English, traditional Chinese, and Japanese. It is labeled sexual content, free-to-play, nudity, anime, indie. It's mixed reviews with 60% of 605 reviews giving it positive, so it's not even a very good one. Every time there's a game like this, they put the flashy thumbnails on it. They catch people's eyes, very bright colors. They catch my eye at least. But almost certainly every time too, it is kind of more of a bait and switch experience than it is an actual good product. Man, I still need to play 6 more Shaman cards, so we'll go again. This looks like it's a dating sex visual novel with monster girls, which that kind of would make sense. A lot of people have played it though. 4,291 all-time peak of players. It's free to play, so that's possible. May 13th, about bug fix and possible design change. We fixed some bugs in the issue with the game today. Thanks for your valuable advices. We are having a discussion about some design changes, including retaining golden magic power after each summon. Sorry for the inconvenience, and thanks for your patience. So, if they're summoning something, that's not a visual novel. This is more of a... They say it's a free-to-play idle simulation game for PC. You're an up-and-coming summoner and lover of monster girls. Earn money to gather up summoning material sand. Oh, it's supposed to say summoning materials and summon monster girls. And then they name the graphics designer and the graphic work and the person who wrote the scenario, but I'm pretty sure that all of the names listed here, and this isn't completely unheard of in Japanese development, particularly of sex products. I'm pretty sure all of these names are aliases. Let's see what the negative reviews are on this. It says, Sayori is my only reason for finishing this game. Is the game in the sense that you can close it and uninstall it to get the best ending. This garbage waiting simulator that doesn't deserve Sayori's art. The only thing right about the game is that it's free. It's not even a clicker because you just hire your minions and wait. That's it. You can't even get money manually. Fine. Maybe somebody's into that. But after a while of waiting, which I estimate would be about 1 or 2 hours, to get enough money and magic to summon a monster, you have to wait even more to summon ritual items to arrive. For example, the second summoning requires 250 gold. Let's see. Let's do this. And that. 250 gold for 2 items. Now, one costs 250 gold. No, wait. I'm misreading this. It's 250,250 gold for 2 items. Now, one costs 250,000 gold and takes 30 minutes to arrive, real time. The second one costs 250 gold, but it takes 2 hours to arrive. So that's 2.5 hours of your life down the drain for a mediocre CG scene with a bit of text, which isn't even voiced. Basically, it's bad. Don't download it. However, I'm full clear it's so you don't have to, because I'm a hypocrite. So, wow, a waiting game. Not even a clicker. I don't think I'm willing to go down that route. I guess that explains this first screenshot better. I thought this was just a shop where you would have bought characters for your party or something. Let's do this.
There is little time.
Excuse me. Yeah, this is crazy. So somebody blew their funding hiring a well-known CG artist and then didn't put a real game, developed it. Now this developer also has a game called Tropical Liquor that's rated very positive, 94% of 19 users. This came out March 19th of 18, and it's a match 3 sex game, much like Honey Pop. It looks, in fact, very close to Honey Pop, except for they are anime girls more than Honey Pop is. And yeah, it's just a complete ripoff of Honey Pop, and that seems Seems like that would have worked fine for the other game too, so why go in a different direction and make a worse product? Let's see, do this, do this, and do this, and return. The publisher for this developer has published. Every other game they have is a Nico Pereira. I believe these are all videos. Yeah. Yeah. It's Nico Pereira OVA. So they're selling the videos. And I guess maybe the publisher wanted to expand into selling games, and maybe the developer said, well, here's a free game to try that. Well, this is weird, because I would pretty much, if I could play these kind of games on YouTube and Twitch, I would play Tropical Liquor. But the game that came out more recently, Monmushu, seems like it has no reason to exist. And if you desperately wanted to see the art from this game, I think you probably would do better just finding that art ripped out of the game and basically stealing it that way. And frankly, for the artist, he would have been better off probably just releasing the art in some other form or factor, although I don't know what form or factor would really make him any money. Maybe as an art book, I guess, would be the best way to sell it. Moving on, we have a game called Lost, L-O-S-T. There's a danger, of course, in naming your game Lost, because it's a very generic game. And there is the movie, the TV series Lost, that people aren't super happy with. They say it's an early access action adventure indie casual. To me, it looks like it's a side-scrolling sword battling game where you're a knight fighting other knights, and it's taking a pretty considerable amount of effort to kill that one other knight character, and that's all I'm seeing as far as enemy characters. The background looks alright, and the knight character looks alright. I'd call it an artistic style if it weren't for the fact that the death screen and the life bars definitely feel like they're just kind of randomly added asset flips. Has an all-time peak of 4 players at early access. Is 25% off for 74 cents. Let's see. Says different enemies with different weapons. Apparently here's a picture of a knight with a bow and arrow instead of a knight with a sword. Let's see. The first review is not recommended. Buyer beware. Asset flip of a Unity Store template hack and slash 2D platformer Lost by Studio Hardcore. So that you have to applaud when people actually name the assets, and that's it, and you can double check and be sure. But yeah, this developer has a long collection here of what look like asset flip games, or at the very least very low quality games. Although I don't know if I'd particularly mention Rewind app as just a extremely low quality game, because from my perspective, Lost doesn't look like an extremely low quality game. But if it's an asset flip, it was an extremely low effort to make that game because obviously the people who made it didn't make it.
Give me a quest.
Okay. I should have kept that guy, honestly, and played this on this guy.
Harvest time. I don't have enough mana.
Anyways, well, whether or not it's an asset flip lost is a garbage game. Now I'm gonna get back to my Twitter account almost certainly and have a ton of games that I hadn't seen, because I didn't see a lot of news this before I started streaming, which seems odd because I was looking at the news around 6 in the evening on Twitter, and there should have been a bunch of things that came out on Monday. But maybe E3 has changed that.
Why do you call?
Next game we have on Steam is called Stories: The Path of Destinies. It's mostly positive, 75% of 28 reviews. Came out April 12, 2016 from Spearhead Games. Why am I looking at this game now? Maybe somebody referenced it. It says it's an RPG adventure indie action where choices matter as far as tasks. And it's from Spearhead Games. It's not on sale. It's $14.99. It's a bundle for $23.99. Apparently there was a free weekend May 11th. But I don't like those free weekends where you lose the game at the end.
Me no crazy, you crazy.
Let's take this and this. It has a 74 on Metacritic. Can't really say that this looks like a bad game, but I'm really uncertain why I found it. Like, there was no article. It's from Spearhead Games, the makers of Tiny Brains, which is rated positive, and Omen Sight, which doesn't have a rating because maybe it's not out yet. Maybe, oh yeah, it's coming out May 15th, 2018, and it looks rather interesting too. So maybe somebody tweeted about it. So I'm gonna wishlist Omen Sight, and I'm gonna wishlist what game was I on before? Stories: A Path to Destinies. Let's look at Omen Sight. Like, no reviews on this one, so it could be a bad game, but it doesn't look like it is. It looks like it's a action indie RPG with time travel. Let's see. Draw 2 Murlocs. No Murlocs. I guess we just move on. Next game we have on Steam is called The Great Gaia's Early Access Action Adventure RPG. Is it a RPG Maker game? It doesn't look actually like it is an RPG Maker game, but it certainly is a old school NES RPG style. It definitely looks like a better version, a prettier version of an RPG than what RPG Maker can do. Hey. And so we've hit a point on this account where I think it would be better for me to move over to my main America's account than struggle with this, because on Wednesday we could get this done, and I'm honestly not sure that there's actually that many more games to talk about. And as always, it's always my attempt to try and speed things up and have more time to record and pre-record other games. I'd like to finish Lego The Force Awakens and move on to a different game. That would be an ideal move. Alright. So play 6 weapons with the warrior. So trade this one out. Win 2 games any class. So we just need to play warrior, warrior, warrior. If somebody wants to challenge me, I'll play them with the warrior too. But until then, I'm just going to play ranked warrior weapon deck. This great guy is saying it has like 150 unique weapons, 400 unique enemies, early access, $29.99. They're charging quite a lot for it, and there are no reviews for this product. But boy, does it seem a little bit prettier and a little bit more ambitious. However, I can't really trust it too much because it's the only game from this developer, and it still doesn't look great. It's not a modern RPG, it's just also not an RPG Maker game, and I don't think I should reward a RPG game for just being slightly better than the extremely low quality RPG makers we normally see. So moving on. Next game is a Japanese only RPG. Japanese only in the fact that it's only in Japanese language. And the one thing it has that the Great Gaia's doesn't have is the fact that it's got some zoom in characters, pictures of the characters, so those little single animations that you would see of anime girls in a few scenes when they're talking to you. I didn't see any of that. But on the other hand, it doesn't really seem like this Japanese game, which I can't even tell you the name because it's all in Japanese, has anywhere near quality for gameplay and the top-down menu. So there's really no reason to talk about this game other than to say there's a large mix, clearly, of people trying to make RPG games, with the majority of them being bad. And I've got a lot of duplicates, so maybe we won't have too much of a problem. Here we have another achievement game. Fake games. Yeah, we already talked about that game. We already talked about that. I might be approaching the end. Do I want to play this now? No, I want to play weapons, so if I'm going to play weapons, I need to actually play them. What page are we on there? That one. Talked about that one. PC Gamer rates Super Mega Baseball 2 an 88, which, I mean, honestly, that's a very, very high score for a sports game. I never got around to watching that interview conversation with Japanese developers. The article is a Gamma Switch article. Japanese devs reflect on the recent renaissance of Japanese games. Watch that, didn't get around to it. So that, yeah, so many duplicates. Did I cover a game called Trapped? Let's see. It's another poor quality RPG probably RPG Maker game. Not worth really mentioning. $1.99 early access. I'm just gonna close that immediately.
Job's done.
Return. Here's a game, Mahjong Solitaire, the classic version of the famous board game Mahjong Solitaire, which I would argue Mahjong Solitaire is not a board game because you do not have a cardboard board that is necessary.
Yeah, beat it.
There's a decent number of these games already on Steam. This one's 10% off for $1.79. There's a perfect game I'd say that you can get for free for shareware called 3D Kadoja Mahjong Solitaire or something like that. That I've spotlighted it, so you can probably find it that way. And because that already exists and it's free, it's hard to recommend anything else. This reviews are mixed at best, I would say, with only 4 reviews. I don't think it's really adding anything, and the interface doesn't look as good. So I would say skip Mahjong Solitaire. It's the only game from this developer too, so they don't have any kind of history to follow upon. And I don't know if this is a re-release of an old point-and-click adventure game, or if I just was actually I think I saw a YouTube video talking about the game, The Last Express Gold Edition on Steam. It's an old point-and-click adventure game that I haven't played, and it came out March 31, 1997, and so I was going to wishlist that, but it's not a new game, so that's particularly just a nostalgic play on my part.
Incredible.
So the developer that made The Last Express also made Metal Slug 1, 2, 3, and X. And let's see, what else? Do they have Double Dragon Trilogy? So they're kind of a known company. Of course, I'd say you really are gonna have to love point-and-click adventure games to want to play an old, lesser-known one. Sucker Punch is looking for an experienced environmental artist. You'd be working in Bellevue, Washington. I'm gonna leave it at that and close that page. My tabs are rather large right now. PC Gamer had this article, How Blockbuster Games Are Written. I was gonna read that article too, so I'm falling behind now. We've got some more job listings that are probably a week or 2 old. This is from May 10th. Equip. And then play. And attack here. Do this. Let's see. Telltale Games is looking for an audio software engineer, a senior game designer, and a senior UI artist. No, wait. Let me say that again. Telltale Games is looking for an audio software engineer in San Rafael, California. Starfall Education Foundation is looking for a senior game designer in San Rafael. This Seismic Games is looking for a senior UI artist in Los Angeles, California. Stanford University is looking for a software developer in Stanford. And People Fun is looking for an art director in Dallas, Texas. And so I've never heard of People Fun. That is an interesting one. I think I've heard of everybody else. Maybe not Starfall Education Foundation. Let's see what those two are. And I need one more win to even get a season chest. I played one weapon. Let's gonna have to zoom in some more on these pages. Let's see. People Fun is the creator of #1 mobile word games, Wordscapes. Founded in 2011, People Fun is a small, rapidly growing studio where developer teams thrive. Rapid prototyping, team working, and fun with focus on casual word games as our mission. Interesting. And then Starfire Education Foundation is what? Began in 2002 as an enterprise to create an online environment where children have fun learning. It's used throughout the world with over 1 billion completed activities each year.
Job's done.
So it's an educational online service, which that might get you some good government contracts. I think we already talked about Little Orbit acquiring gamers' first online game portal and APB Reloaded. Little Orbit, who has largely focused on licensed games for entertainment companies like Cartoon Network and The Post, but also a momentous moment for in the complicated history of APB Reloaded. Interesting. But honestly, you could buy APB Reloaded just for the visual assets and nothing else. It's just a cheap acquisition.
Job's done.
Let's see. Gamma Sutra has an article called Shooting a Moving Target. It's a blog, which I think is literally about programming to shoot a moving target. And yeah, it's an entire blog based around programming, which would be interesting to people, I suppose, who want to.
Our hammers echo in the deep.
Like people who might have an interest in programming, and that's it. Let's go close that because we don't need it. Let's see. Apparently, Telltale Games was also looking for a character modeler. So we kind of know Telltale Games is working on something. And there's another fake game maker. And I'm on the Humble Store. Which, what bundles do we have right now? DevOps packets. Books on sale. Guess that might work. Do I want to do this? And this.
Hammers strike.
Let's see. Well, the War Games bundle has 7 days left. I didn't think any of those games really interest me. The CryEngine bundle has only a few hours left. I think maybe 16 hours left, which none of those games really interest me. And then the Destiny bundle, Humble Monthly thing, has 17 days left if you want to get the monthly fee, that reoccurring fee. Let's see. Let's take a look and see how many videos are remaining on my channel to be ported over to Twitch. I'm just under 4,000 videos now. And the way it's set up, that doesn't include any games or any videos that you wouldn't even know about or that hadn't come out yet. So that it's specifically 4,000 old videos are still upload. So it's going to be rather slow. It'll probably be an entire month before I am finally done. Meanwhile, I'm uploading Lego Star Wars games, so they're getting all kinds of copyright claims and content ID claims, and I'm gonna have to deal with all of that at some point. Apparently PC Gamer has Forgotten Anne review. I want to see that. I'm back on my Twitter. They're giving it a 75%, which, for as much as it seems like they were paid to advertise that, it seems pretty obvious that where's this going?
Blood and plunder.
Give your weapon +1/+1. Guess that had to have been.
Watch this.
So it says, Forgotten Anne is a pleasant platformer that's elevated by a winsome anime aesthetic. Which, there was a time, not too many years ago, where a video game with an anime aesthetic was a bad thing. I mean, even now, there are some games on Steam that are trying to have anime aesthetics, and that turns out to be a bad thing. It's nice to see that PC Gamer's giving Forgotten Anne a good review, but honestly, they pretty much had to, didn't they? Since they were almost certainly being paid under the table to advertise it, or at least that's what I'm calling it. I guess I shouldn't make baseless accusations without any evidence, but it feels like they were pushing that game very heavily and had a vested interest in seeing it succeed. Let me state my opinion there, not any fact.
Mind if I roll need?
Let's see. PC Gamer has an article, Overwatch 2nd anniversary event claimed, confirmed, free weekend incoming.
Try this.
Let me just play as many as possible. I could have killed that and that would have been helpful. Sledgehammer Games says this week is all about BO4. There's BO4. Is Call of Duty Brothers in Arms 4? Maybe? Koei Tecmo America is giving away games. I may have to decide to stop following them because some of them, these Japanese companies, give away games too often, and I don't feel comfortable directly receiving something from a company where they might in fact have an idea or knowledge that I'm a video game critic and they might be trying to influence me. That's funny the way I just said that, because that inherently means I don't feel like I would be influenced, which is probably not true. I imagine everybody would be slightly influenced, but from my perspective, I feel like I wouldn't be influenced, but I don't want people to think that they are influencing me, or people to think that I am being influenced. So I try to limit myself to only getting free games when they are available to the general public and a large amount of the general public. And if I'm going to get any other games from anybody else, I would hope it would be fans that would gift me games on Steam, or give me Steam codes through Twitter. I suppose the other point might come about eventually, that there might be a fan of me that is also making a game, which at that point I again feel like it's not the best path to go down, to say, well, you're the developer of this game and you may be a fan of me or you may not, but unless you're giving it out to a large amount of people, it still doesn't feel right. So the question is, did I make enough weapons? Scrolling down, for scrolling down my Twitter, Ubisoft Montreal had a, you know, female empowerment, females in programming and STEM thing. It's hashtag Girls for a Change event, and they took some pictures, and apparently Ubisoft Montreal and IBM were together. IBM STEM for Girls. I think it will be pretty ironic, although it might be very informative too, to see, can females in general, in a wide survey of the Western world, can females be pushed into science, technology, engineering, and mathematics? Or are the statistics going to say exactly the same even after this generation's large push to try to include them and get more people in? Currently, the statistics is about, I think it was 35% of all degree graduates who would be entering the workforce for a STEM job is female, and almost exactly 30%, 35%, the same number, are being hired. So there's actually, people don't say this, there's actually no way to hire more females without hiring unqualified people. So it'll be interesting in the next generation, next time that if we have a closer to 50% of college graduates be female. I suspect we won't. I think there's easier options than programming, and better jobs available than programming for everybody, and you have to be a little obsessive and a little ignorant to go into the video game programming field. He played Shutterwalk, but he may very well kill himself because of this. Is he gonna go for the one-turn kill and accidentally kill him? PC Gamer has an article, the new Slay the Spire hero is awesome, even though he's still in beta. Let's see. Play this, in the turn. I guess it was a good weekend for YouTube. They haven't, at least to my knowledge, done anything too crazy lately, other than it seems like they're ramping up, kicking off weed and drug related channels, and in general I think any excuse and every excuse is going to be acceptable for them to kick off and delete channels. The question is, maybe they just finally ran out of hard drive spaces and they're tired of storing people's video. I don't think that's the real reason, but it might as well be the reason. Gamatsu says Kingdom Hearts 3 hands-on impression coming May 18th. Wow, so somebody actually played it. I'm scrolling down, and unless Twitter, which it almost certainly will, decides to start showing me things out of order, I am not sure there's anything new. Giant Bomb with Abby playing Punch-Out and now Dan Riker playing Zelda, or some kind of modded version of Zelda, to move the items around. They're very much going in a different direction. I guess I need a Paladin, a Warrior victory. Let's try Secret Paladin while we're here. This very possibly will be our last game. And yeah, I don't even think that there's a real reason to do a post show today, because if I'm just gonna get 1 or 2 victories, it's not gonna be very interesting.
Arthas versus Anduin.
Gamasutra has a video, a lawyer's guide to practical IP law for indies, and just don't follow any laws. That's the practical solution. There is just don't follow any laws. You won't get caught, don't worry. Not in the United States, at least. You can get away with actual murder. Blade Strangers is introducing another character, another weird choice from, I guess, a rather limited selection of who the developer and publisher has the rights to. And we started this stream today talking about Rage 2. I guess tomorrow, Wednesday, we'll talk about it.
Greetings.
Ubisoft teases a new Rainbow Six Siege operator, so they're still doing everything about that. Noble Sacrifice.
Job's done.
Gamester has an article how the DualShock 4's share button came to be. I think it's pretty obvious. You just add another button, give it some function. 5 hours ago, Resident Evil 5 aired on my channel. It's late. I'm also noticing that we've probably lost some people on chat. Either they've decided to stop watching me, or they've just decided to stop chatting. I need people to chat as much as possible because that helps promote videos more interaction when I'm live. But it feels like every 2 or 3 months some highly passionate person who was on chat every stream or nearly every stream falls off and stops being interested. That seems about right, so I can't really be too upset about it. It's just, I think, the way it goes on YouTube. And if I ever get up to 1,000 subscribers, it will stop being an issue. Almost certainly, because there will be so many people. When one falls off, 2 more will start chatting. Morgan Webb has gotten a little bit more talky on her public post on Twitter. And it's kind of funny because Morgan Webb is now making video games, and Adam Sessler is out of the industry. So there's a lot going on. Let's see. Do I want to do this, or do I want to wait? I think I want to do this. And in return, let's see. PC Gamer has a article talking about shooter Wonderkind Shroud esports fame was a stop on the way to Twitch superstardom. So it's an interview with an esports person. They also have an article, the best 4K TVs for gaming, which I'm not sure that there are some great 4K TVs for gaming yet. I don't know if they're gonna have the highest amount of frame rate. Gamma Sutra has a leaked photo showing a new accessible Xbox One controller. Accessible in the sense that it's for disabled people, I would assume. Let's look at this article. Because this definitely does not feel like something that you would just sell by default. So play this, and then play. Wow! I gotta do this here, and then I'm gonna do this one here. Wow! And then do this, and then I'm gonna silence this down. Shuts up. This Xbox One controller, it has a D-pad in the lower left hand, and then what looks like a either really big button or some really flat thumbsticks on the right, but there's only two of them, so you're not doing an ABXY unless you're mapping different parts of the buttons up like two different actions. So it's like a really sensitive touchscreen type device. Let's see.
Get behind me.
There's an oversized A and B pad, it says, and a D-pad, and the standard Xbox buttons, and the navigation controls. Like, I don't see how this would work for most games. It might work for a few, but I don't think that works for most. Because you don't have a right trigger, you don't have a left trigger, you don't have a right bump, you don't have a left bump, you don't have X, you don't have a Y, you don't have a right stick, you don't have a left stick, no analog inputs at all. I'm not even sure what I'm being shown is the right thing for a disabled person, and probably there is no right thing in general for disabled people. It's probably very variable. id Software retweeted from the Rage Twitter account. Rage is back. Watch the Rage 2 announcement trailer now. 8 hours ago. So I guess maybe the announcement trailer is here.
Must consider.
Rock Paper Shotgun has a Unknown Pleasures from Steam article. I'll probably talk about that on Wednesday. 7 hours ago, the Fox and the Flock #2 aired on my channel. Jeez, did nothing air 6 hours ago? Did I miss the schedule? That would be an interesting move on my channel to separate the videos out in 2-hour increments, but I don't think that helps people watch more of my videos. I think that probably makes it worse.
Evil will be purged.
Gamma Sutra has an article. RuneScape creator JagX raises $300,000 for mental health charities. Okay, that's JGEX. I don't really need to move. Florida. Gamma Sutra has an article. Pixel Game Maker MV will be released in the US this summer. That's probably already been announced. 7 hours ago, Cliff Blazinski announces the closure of Lawbreakers in Radical Heights developer Bosky. You probably could have figured that one out if you were just speculating a little bit. How Radical Heights was not advertised at all and just thrown out there as what now is was obviously a last-ditch attempt to get as much money as possible, or perhaps save the company. That's not surprising at all. We'll cover that more, I think. Let's see, here's another game that came out. I had to scroll down quite a bit to start seeing new content. 7 hours. And Twitter is doing a worse job than YouTube. Facebook even did. At least Facebook never made it so completely and blatantly obvious that they were manipulating what you were seeing. Twitter is really bad at it. Guess we'll have to play again. 8 hours ago, Star Wars The Clone Wars Republic Heroes #3 aired. I'm not super upset with that game. I'm gonna play one more game. Let's see if we get a victory. The Clone Wars Republic Heroes is not great, but it's not terrible either. It's kind of worth playing. Just to get into the cartoon. Although arguably maybe you should just skip into the cartoon yourself and not play the game.
Arthas versus Rexar. Let the hunt begin for Lordaeron.
PC Gamer has an article. This is probably not an article worth reading, though Intel reflects on Moore's Law as 50-year anniversary comes into view. We've pretty much proven at this point Moore's Law was not really ever it was never a scientific law, and but it was also a kind of just general idea that has already been broken. It was more of an advertisement term, I would say, than anything else. Gamma Sutra has a blog. How to increase our review score from mid-60s to 80. Interesting. Blog, I'll read that. Your Gamer, Nintendo confirms the NES Mini will return to shops this June. Good for them. What's kind of funny is that the developers of the Raspberry Pi cases that look exactly like the NES Mini, or pretty similar, come in and out of production too. So I kind of wonder if maybe on some level it's the same facilities manufacturing the same chunks of plastic for the outside. It might as well be.
I'll never tell.
Reporting for duty.
I've got to attack forward and see if I activate an explosive trap. I don't. Okay, good. Cliff Blazinski is quoted as Radical Heights being too little too late, which means it was too little too late even when it was released. Obviously. PC Gamer has like a best CPU, best video card, best SSD deal this weekend. They're like, seriously, they do it almost every week too. They put out, this is the best deal.
Let me
for this. This is the best deal for this week. All these affiliate links. That's all they're doing is getting affiliate link revenue. Rock Paper Shotgun has an article. How does Artifact connect with the story characters in World of Dota 2? We asked Valve. I don't think I particularly care about that. Maybe I would go over to Artifact, but not 100% sure I will. Let's see. Gamasutra has an article. Researchers teach AI the art of interesting level design. We may cover that Wednesday. That's an iffy Senate story because it's partially news and partially not very well. It's news, but it's not important news really.
Good news,
In my
everyone.
opinion.
I perfected the
Speaking of other
plan.
important news, I watched the 2017
Was unexpected.
Dual Dark Side of the Other Dimensions Yu-Gi-Oh movie, which, boy, it was pretty, and it was the original generation of Yu-Gi-Oh people, so it's not any of the newer cartoon characters. It's Yugi, Rei, Taya, and those people, and Kaiba. But boy, even in 2017, when they translated it to English, are they not making the game look realistic? They're not following any rules when they're dueling. They're not taking turns. They're not drawing cards. It's just this random assortment of
Will be purged.
at best what I could call it is of just BS gameplay, all for a very simplistic reason of them just not really caring. The Yu-Gi-Oh cartoon, of course, is not great. The actual card game, I say, is a lot better, and some of the stories, even in video game forms of the card game, is better than what the cartoon does. But I really would have thought that very possibly their last movie that they would ever make for that generation, that they would do a better job and not do a poor job of translating the game to a show. And the only reason the movie exists is to just introduce a new card set.
To my side.
Ooh, okay. Big Bend Interactive acquires Cyanide Studios. Who's Cyanide Studios? Big Bend has acquired Cyanide Studios, the French developer behind Styx and Blood Bowl series, as well as the upcoming Call of Cthulhu, the official video game, and Werewolf the Apocalypse. Styx, in particular, I think,
Put this apple on your head.
had a lot of potential that was not fulfilled, and I could see the need to find a way to fix that and be acquired to get some more money. Cyanide Studios, if I recall correctly, was most popular and most known for making bicycling games before Styx. So Sega Mega Drive Classics are going to be available May 29th. For that's from Sega Europe. Gamatsu says Persona 5 worldwide shipments have topped 2.2 million, which is the same. I would say that number seems really, really low. But heck, that is anime RPGs for you. You're not going to get all the Call of Duty first-person shooter players to play those. It's a niche market. Rock Paper Shotgun has a review for Monster Prom, the game developed or published or co-produced by Jesse Cox from the Co-optional Podcast, a YouTuber, so there's some there. Let's see. What's the final review here? The final paragraph it says, it may take a few tries to discover how to land a date, but playing Monster Prom is some of the most fun you'll have trying to figure out the game's mechanic. By making the goal competitive and multiplayer, it challenges the dating sim and genre in a wholly unique way, and its combinations of events and endings make every playthrough feel like the first time. And this is the part where I wink suggestively wink. So, being a multiplayer game, I'm not super interested in Monster Prom, but whatever. This. 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 And return. Gamasutra has a sponsored content, how one Korean studio brought its hit mobile game to VR. I don't think there's any reason to read sponsored content. Gamasutra has a game called Nico Atsumi VR, despite the title VR is optional. Japanese PS4 trophies have surfaced. I believe that game might be coming to PC.
Here there is no light.
There's no echo there.
Reporting for duty.
Attack here.
For the light.
Of obliteration. Job's done.
Gamatsu Inferno Climber Reborn PS4 trophies have surfaced. Trophies aren't an important thing for me to cover there, so we'll skip that. PC Gamer has an article, Andy can't stop adopting stray animals and Pillars of Eternity 2 Deadfire. That's a ridiculous article. E3 has a tweet out. The Shadow of the Tomb Raider, the creative team behind Shadow of the Tomb Raider will host a conversation about Lara Croft's character growth at the E3 Coliseum. Be part of it all with the Gamer Pass. So they're trying to get people to go to a speech.
What would Uther do?
Which
Reporting for duty.
probably
Join me.
what you really would want to waste your time on. But if you're going to E3, you might want to do it. I would argue that I don't feel like Tomb Raider Lara Croft has grown enough as a character in the first two games. She started to do it in the first game, but the second game, really didn't go anywhere with that. Where are we now? I think that's everything for the Americas account, so I have to go back to the European account now. Try to get one more victory. Eurogamer has an article. Leaks suggest Nintendo's Retro Studios is making a Star Fox racing spinoff, which would be, I suppose the right way. I was thinking, yeah, Nintendo needs to make something like Diddy Kong Racing, but they can't really do Diddy Kong Racing because of Rare not being involved. So they probably need to do something different, but similar. Maybe I'll look at that. Another game I missed.
Rexar versus Gul'dan.
Another game I
Your
missed.
soul shall be mine. Let the hunt begin.
I'm still going down my Twitter feed. So I've started yet another game. But I also suspect that I will be done before the end of this game. Rock Paper Shotgun has an article. Turtle Beach has credited Battle Royale for selling headsets. Interesting. Let's see. Somebody's announcing a party for Nordic Games on May 23rd. I don't believe everybody's invited, however. Apparently Avalanche Sweden is working together to release Rage 2, develop it. Which, that might be an interesting company to research. Guess I had the right amount of games to cover, however, because almost all my daily quests are done. If I was... I guess that's what I'm supposed to take from where I've ended up. Like, although I do have a lot of news that I'm seeing. So, like, I have more news than I have anything else. Let's see. Activision retweeted the USO. Quote, playing video games for me is a way for me and my friends and my little brother to bond over a shared experience, unquote. So this is the at Call of Duty USO tour. Which... who's paying who for that one, I wonder? Pretty much 100% of all companies that pretend like they're patriotic are doing it to sell games, so I'd take it for that. But then also the military also pays some corporations to promote the military, and this is a way to convince people who would be likely to join the military to take that final step and join. Scrolling down my Twitter account. See if there's anything more that was missed. Ben Brode, the person who no longer works for Activision Blizzard, retweeted a divorcing couple dividing their Beanie Baby investment under the supervision of a judge in 1999. And it's literally two people on the floor and a big old pile of Beanie Babies. It's pretty silly. Ben Brode, I have noticed, has been a lot freer to tweet non-Hearthstone things now, where before he was very much all business, which kind of shows the weirdness of being a celebrity in a video game development. And is your personal Twitter something that reflects the company's opinions and thoughts, or is it just yours? And usually businesses will say it reflects the corporation, even if you're not a high manager or high level employee. It might just be a burger flipper at McDonald's and say something offensive on Twitter and get fired. I guess the general idea there is to not say anything offensive. Gamasutra, Twitch files counter complaint against banned CSGO streamer. Gamasutra was late to that article, now it's several days ago. Unless this one's a different Gamasuit. Divinity Original Sin 2 Definitive Edition coming to Xbox Game Pass preview on May 16th. I don't think I've heard about that game. The original Guilty Gear game is coming to PS4, Switch, and PC. Talk about that on Wednesday. I'm just like teasing Wednesday at this point because I'm trying to wrap up. See, your gamer is playing Dark Souls this week. In the same way I complained about some video game journalists being obsessed and nostalgic with Silent Hill, far too many video game journalists are obsessed and nostalgic about Dark Souls 2. Seriously, people need to be more varied and not get stuck on old things. Gamasutra has an article. Retirement shouldn't be a myth for game developers. That is probably a big issue that doesn't get talked about a lot. Where retirement, since people get laid off like crazy in the video game industry, retirement 401ks and things probably not very well funded. The YouTube advertiser says consumers want less Photoshop and more honesty. See how at the Kate Spade Denny retired traditional ad formats to drive results. See how this person retired traditional ad formats to drive results. It's a little bit of one and it's a little bit of the other. It's frankly, people don't want something that's obviously photoshopped, but they certainly will respond better to something that looks good. Versus if you show an average McDonald's burger on a commercial, nobody's going to want to eat a McDonald's burger. Although arguably nobody probably wants to eat a McDonald's burger because it's a good quality product in the first place. It's either because you're a child and you want a toy or something that you're going to McDonald's, or it's because you're poor and you want something cheap. Apparently Alienware says Tokyo is getting its own stream to show the city and its people. So the actual city government of Tokyo is going to stream on Twitch. Interesting. There's a lot. Tokyo is a very big city, capital of the new capital of Japan. So there's definitely a lot of variety. It's not just Akihabara and video game districts. see, Gamasutra has a examining microtransactions in Mortal Kombat X. Nobody liked them. It was a big deal, but it was a long time ago also. And I'm at the bottom of my Twitter feed, so I'll go back up to the top. I have 4 new tweets.
Why do you
And
call?
that is that as far as Twitter things. So let's see if we win here, and even if we don't win, then whatever.
Why do
Trying
you
to
call?
see this Rage 2 announcement trailer. I think I've already seen this.
For all and all for me.
Yep. I'm not sure I 100% know what Rage 1 was, so I don't 100% know what Rage 2 is supposed to be.
I hunt alone.
And frankly, I don't know what it's going to be, because it could be very, very different. Although I am still standing by my theory that it's going to be worse than the last 4 Bethesda games released. It's going to be worse than Fallout 4, Dishonored, Deus Ex, and Prey. That's my gamble. I wanted to get to this article while we're still here, because this is clearly the most important thing. I'm not even sure it's really that big of a news, because it's not like Boss Key Productions ever made even a good game. Cliff Bleszinski left the industry, came back, started Boss Key, made Lawbreakers, which was a failure, speedily released Radical Heights, which was a failure, and now shutting down. So, quote is, as of today, Boss Key Productions is effectively no more. 4 years ago, I set out to make a world-class video game studio, and I had some of the best talent in the video game industry, which arguably is not a good way to stay under budget. Just as a side note. I've got to draw a card. Let's see where they go. They worked tirelessly to produce quality products, and while we had our ups and downs, I think we had fun doing it. Well, I'm glad you had fun doing it, but in the end you're firing all these people. And inherently I think this is Cliff Bleszinski's fault. He's just not the person that should be in charge of a company. To the point where he's not even selling the company, it seems, or being acquired. He's just shutting it down and giving up, which is not the kind of attitude you want in a boss, is a quitter. Like, I don't want to just throw out name calling, but he's basically a quitter. He's actually quitting and taking everybody else out with him. Let's see. As for myself, I'm going to take some time off and reflect. I need to focus on myself and family, as well as my Aussie Teddy, who's slowly fading from us. Video games will forever be a part of who I am, and I hope to make something new again someday. However, I need to withdraw and take some time. To those of you who supported myself in the studio these years, thank you from the bottom of my heart, and everyone who came to work for me. Let's see. So this is a very well worded article. In the first paragraph it says, Lawbreakers was a great game that unfortunately failed to gain traction, and in the last ditch attempt we scrambled to do our take on the huge Battle Royale genre with Radical Heights, which was well received. However, it was too little too late, so why did you even scramble? Why not scramble to sell your company or get acquired? Why not be in negotiation a year ago for that? Please note that servers for Radical Heights will remain up for the near future. Thanks again, Cliff Brzezinski. And that's like a picture he tweeted, and then the actual tweet was a statement. There's no talk whatsoever about helping any of the employees that work for him find a better job. He's just leaving them high and dry. Like, it is a nicely worded article, but he has taken his employees down the path of destruction, and then he's just dancing out, probably not with a golden parachute, but with a decent amount of money, whereas there's very possibly a lot of employees who just got an email today, a week ago, maybe, that you're going to be laid off, and that's it. However, there's going to have to be some more news reporting or some more fallout before we find out how any of the other employees feel about that. And we are kind of done with this recording. We're actually an hour over. Man, I'm still very bad at being consistent length recordings. This is a good point for me, though, to stop. That we do have on Hearthstone 3 more victories we need to do on Wednesday on the European account, but that's it. So we're good to go. I think that's it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. When you subscribe, please click that notification bell. If you want to friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me even further, gift me a game or gift me a Steam gift card. Right now, as we're trying to build up to the Steam summer sale, Steam gift card's a great idea. If you don't want to do that, Steam summer sale mid-June or July, I think it was mid-June that it's going to happen, will be the time to get games cheap and gift them to people you want to see cover them, like me. Or just me. I guess I don't really care if you gift it to other YouTube streamers, just to be honest. Well, I guess that's it. So, thank you for watching, and have a good evening. Bye.